Think of macros like a dial you can adjust, not a light switch like you can turn off. So the equalizer, like on your car radio, you know how there's the balance, the fade, the bass, the treble. Well, you can adjust those dials just right for you, for where your ears are like, that's the perfect sound. That's the perfect audio. I love how this sounds right now. And you can adjust each one of those to get it just right for you. It's the same idea here with macronutrients.
Welcome to Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms, the podcast that cuts through all the social media noise and gives you real strategies to lose weight without fad diets or complicated plans. I'm Amanda Ford, and I teach busy moms how to use calorie tracking, simple nutrition skills, and strength training to finally lose the first 10, 20, or even 30 pounds and keep it off. If you're tired of starting over, overwhelmed by your schedule, or wondering if lasting weight loss is even possible while raising kids, you're in the right place. Each week, you'll get practical tips, tough love motivation, and repeatable routines that fit into your real life so you can feel strong, confident, and in control. This is Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms. Let's get started.
Welcome back to Simple Weight Loss for Busy Moms. This is episode number 7 of my series called How to Lose Weight. I'm your host, Amanda Ford, weight loss coach for busy moms. In this series, I'm coaching you exactly as if I was your one-to-one weight loss coach. Each episode will walk you through specific steps and skills that you will fine-tune in efforts to revamp your daily rhythms and routines so you will never, ever have to start over again. And weight loss will finally be in your grasp. As a continued reminder, these episodes can stand alone, but this series is meant to be listened to from start to finish as each lesson builds on the next. If you're joining me for this series for the first time, welcome. What's going on? Nice to meet ya. We are a rowdy crew of busy moms trying to feel good, get fit, and lose weight. Welcome, welcome. But do me a favor and go back and start at episode number 30. Then be sure to come back on a weekly basis for your next coaching session until you catch up. If you're a longtime listener, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for coming back to each and every episode. And I appreciate your grace as I do try to do this as frequently as possible, but I am a busy mom. This is a podcast for busy moms. So I imagine you guys can understand that my cadence, my goal is to do it every week, but I just don't have all the time in the world because I am the editor, the producer, the scriptwriter, all the things. So time is of the essence. So I appreciate you guys' understanding that I am not consistent in getting this out every week. One day, pray for me. I hope so. And for you newbies, this series is just the latest. I have over 30 episodes for you to binge on. Also, if you're looking for resources that I reference in older episodes, they are no longer in the show notes. But if you need one of those resources and you can't find the link I'm referencing in the episode, shoot me an email and I will hook you up. Ladies, I'm your weight loss coach in those beautiful little ears you have. So if you have questions, do not hesitate, okay? Go ahead and leave them in the YouTube comments. Someone probably has the same question as you. I also want to be able to have an open dialogue about anything that's confusing you, or maybe you want to talk about, maybe I haven't mentioned in any of my past episodes or in this particular series. Do not hesitate. This is a two-way street here. I know right now I'm just talking to a microphone with my golden retrievers in the room. It's just me and a microphone and my dogs, but I am talking to you, friend. I want to help you. I want to help you feel confident and capable and also educate you so you can take this journey on solo, because I know you can. And keeping questions to yourself or feeling stuck does not help the process. So get into the YouTube comments, ask away. I'm here to help. And be sure, since you're going to be on YouTube asking questions, to subscribe. Of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Many of my listeners are only on Apple and Spotify, and don't subscribe to my YouTube. So be sure to follow and subscribe on YouTube as well. Even if you don't listen to the podcast on YouTube, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. It's simply a free way to help support the podcast. It bumps me up in the algorithm and it gets the podcast in front of more eyeballs. So I appreciate your support in that sense. Finally, don't forget to sign up for my email list as well because I share all sorts of weight loss tips to my email subs. This is a really great way to connect with me because I don't use social media that much anymore. It's distracting. I have a whole episode on it. Go listen to that. But be sure to hit me up in all those areas, you guys. All right, so all that stuff, YouTube, email, any links I reference in this episode, you may want to check out all in the show notes. Pop down there and check it out. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast, and be sure to share this podcast with your fave mom and besties. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's jump in. All right, babes, this episode is a bonus of sorts to the nutrition episodes of this series. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been learning about basic nutrition concepts, most importantly, locking in your personal weight loss calorie budget and how to maintain your budget with smart food selection and calorie tracking. But I want to introduce another concept you may hear about in the weight loss nutrition world called macro tracking. I want to slow down here and spend a little bit more time on it because this is one of those topics that gets a lot of attention online, especially when you start searching calorie tracking for weight loss. You're going to see this concept come up, but it's not always super helpful in how it's explained. And sometimes it's just like a meal plan and with like perfect macros for weight loss. Well, that's generic. And if you've been listening to me for over a year plus now, or even just in this series, you know that your calorie budget is unique. So we don't want to just be going out and grabbing someone's meal plan that says it's the perfect macros, a perfect calorie budget for weight loss. You really need to take a beat, take a pause, and make sure that it is going to work for your goals. But let's talk about this a little bit more. So, macro tracking can be super useful. It can also be unnecessarily complicated if you approach the concept as like being a rigid rule book instead of what it really is. It's a framework for optimization. So, optimizing your nutrition. It's not the hard and fast rules. Again, this is a bit more advanced and takes a tad more brain power and attention than simply keeping track of how many calories you ate. Are you eating within your calorie budget? That is number one. That's the gold star, you guys. And sometimes this concept can feel overwhelming. So if you're new to weight loss through calorie tracking, it's best to get your wheels greased with the basics and set this concept aside for now. If you're feeling confident in your calorie tracking and you're like, okay, I'm ready to kind of polish it up a little bit, this is for you. And if it's not for you, I want you to keep your eye laser focused on maintaining your calorie budget every day. Don't worry too much about this concept yet, okay? But I didn't want to skip over it because it is really helpful in optimizing your results and even how your energy levels play out each day, which is huge for busy moms. Like it's really important to call out that when we're eating in a calorie deficit, that means we're eating a little bit less calories than we need for the day. So we lose weight. We can kind of start to feel maybe a little bit lethargic. You are taking in less energy, right? Calories and energies we use that interchangeably. And you can start to maybe feel tired. This doesn't happen to everyone, but if we can dial in our macros, and I'm going to get into what that is in just a second, we can fine tune our energy levels and really get a lot of that energy back if you're feeling that way. So lots of cool things that can happen and benefits from utilizing the concept of macro tracking. Macro tracking is short for macronutrient tracking. And macronutrients are nutrients your body needs in large amounts. So large macronutrients. And we need them in large amounts because they literally help keep us alive. The macronutrients that we're talking about are protein, carbohydrates, and fats, all things I'm sure you guys have heard or read about before. If I'm already boggling your mind with vocabulary words here, macronutrients, protein, carbs, calorie deficit, I know that's a lot. I want you to pause this episode and go back and listen to episode number 17. It's called Must Know Nutrition Vocabulary for Weight Loss. It'll really help you. It'll give you a nice, solid vocabulary foundation. Keep that one in your back pocket if you're needing a refresher or if you're kind of confused on the language I'm using, because I want to make sure that you are understanding when I'm giving guidance. So let's get back to it. Each macronutrient provides energy, which we measure in calories. So for protein, we get 4 calories per gram of protein. For carbohydrates, we get 4 calories per gram of carbohydrate. And for fat, we get 9 calories per gram of fat. So when you track your food in Cronometer, those calories you're logging are simply coming from a combination of those 3 nutrients. When you look on nutrition labels on the food that you eat on the packaging, the total calories, so the calories listed at the top there, is the product of the number of grams and calories of each of those macronutrients in that particular serving size. So all of this is math, you guys. It all melts together in a simple math equation. And if you're like, oh no, I don't do math, I got you. Go back and listen to episode number 18, Must Know Nutrition Math for Weight Loss. This will all make more sense. But I wanted to just cover those really basic foundations before we get into the rest of today's concept. So weight loss happens when you consistently consume fewer calories than your body uses. That's called a calorie deficit. That is the core driver, and it is all driven by the math. And it is a pillar of how I teach weight loss and how I encourage you to have a look and manage your weight loss for success. So, macro tracking does not replace that principle. I will say that probably 1 million times during this episode. I want to make that very clear. So, then why are people doing this extra step then of macro tracking? Like, what is this macro tracking thing? When people track macros, they're paying attention not only to the total calories for the day, so that's our basics, right? You guys, we how many calories did you eat per day? Are you within your budget? But also how they're tracking also how those calories are divided between each macronutrient. So, how many calories of protein, how many calories of carb, and how many calories of fat did they eat? So that's the extra step. That's the extra layer for optimization here. And that is the concept of macro tracking. So you'll hear this referenced as your macronutrient ratios. Implementing this extra step to track macros can help optimize how you feel, perform, and stay full throughout the day. We touched on this heavily last episode. So, for example, increasing your protein, protein's the queen, go protein, can help support muscle, improve satiety, which is the feeling of fullness, and make it easier to stay within your calorie budget. Others might adjust their carbohydrates depending on their activity level. In the last episode, I used the example of my husband who trains for marathons, right? He needs a lot more carbohydrate. And this gets in a little bit to nutrition science and what carbohydrates do in the body. But he needs a lot of carbohydrates because he runs 10, 15, 16 plus miles a day while he's training, right? So he needs more carb than maybe I would. Or people might enjoy or prefer to have a little bit more fat or a little bit less fat in their day, depending on their preferences. So again, you can see how unique this is to each individual on the planet. It's not a one size fits all thing, just like your calorie budget is not a one size fits all thing. Again, something I will routinely repeat probably on every episode of this podcast. I really want you to understand that this is your process. This is your journey. Your nutritional needs are unique to you. And that's why it's important to spend a little bit of time here, not only with macro tracking, if you're ready for that, but dialing in that perfect calorie budget that's going to work for you. It's not your sisters, it's not your neighbors, it's not your dogs, it's not your brothers, it's not your sons, your cousins. It is special to you. And that's how you're going to lose weight. So while the number of total calories drives weight loss, so your total calories for the day, you've already determined what that is. We worked through that several episodes ago, and then you're eating within that budget because it does give you a calorie deficit. So that's going to drive your weight loss. Macros help you refine that process and help support your unique daily activities. So I've got some really good news though. If you're already using a food tracking app like Cronometer, the app is actually calculating your macros automatically when you log your food. Hooray, right? Like less math. I know you're like, this might be a little bit too much for me right now as a busy mom. That's okay. I geek out on this stuff, you guys, but you don't have to do all the stuff all the time anymore because we have technology at our fingertips and Cronometer is doing a lot of this for you already. So you don't have to do extra math unless you really want to figure out what you want to dial your macros to each day. And I'll talk about that later. As you simply enter your food into the app as usual, just no change there. The app shows you how much protein, carbohydrate, and fat you've consumed in each meal and throughout the day. So I want to pause for a second for those of you that are participating in full in this series. And I know you are because you are taking your weight loss seriously this time. You're doing the work, you're participating. I just want to walk you through how you can see your macronutrient ratios in the Cronometer app. So if you want to pause for a second, open up your phone if you can, open up the Cronometer app and look at the previous day's entries or whatever the last day you did entries on. So I want to show you I want you to see an entire day. Go ahead and open it up. And at the top of the screen, you'll see a banner on the very top of the screen, and it's called your energy summary. And there's several pages on that banner. You can toggle through them. I want you to pay attention to the circle graph on the left of that banner. That graph is titled the consumed. Actually, let me just open it up while I'm talking about it. Yeah, that graph is called the consumed energy summary for the day. So it says consumed. And what that graph is showing you is the total number of calories you have eaten in a day. So that's the quantity listed in the center of the circle. And the colors that make up the circle actually represent the ratio of macronutrients you've had in that day. So if you're a real visual person and you like to see something in a more graphic, visual display, this particular view of your macronutrients is really helpful. So the red represents fat, the green represents protein, and the blue represents carbs. So I realize if you're not looking at this is kind of like over your head, but make sure that you take time and just play around with Cronometer and get to know the screens because it's literally doing this work for you of macro tracking and it makes optimizing it very simple. So I want you guys to get to know this app and play around with it. And the next screen I want you to look at, though, when we're in the Cronometer app, when it has to do with our macros for the day, is on the next screen. So the banner has a toggle left or right on the bottom. So I want you to toggle to the right, and the screen is going to change. Here you're going to see the energy summary screen, which is actually called targets. And listed are the total amount of each macronutrient you ate and the percentage for the day. So this one's it does have a nice bar graph with the colors for you to see if you're more of a visual type of, if you want data that's more visual. But I like this one because I can easily see the quantities. I can see the exact number of grams I've had of protein, carbs, and fat for the day. And you guys, if you've set targets for the day, so that's why the screen is called targets. So say my protein target is 130, you can tell the app, I want 130 grams of protein. I want, 100 carbohydrate. I want 56 grams of fat. I'm just making up numbers. It's going to say how you did in meeting those targets. So were you successful? Did you hit it right on the money? Did you go over? This is my favorite screen in the entire app. I look at it constantly all day. So there's multiple other ways to view this data. If you go back to the first screen that we were looking at, so the energy summary, which is always popped up right when you open the app, if you actually tap on the consumed graph, so if you tap on that circle, there's another view of the energy summary. So it's whatever preference you like, what view works best for you. But this is where Cronometer is listing your macronutrients for you. It's very helpful, and it takes a lot of the stress out of like, how do I know? How am I doing? I know I'm eating protein, but how much have I had? This is literally tracking it for you. It is so cool. And I just love this app so much. I used MyFitnessPal for a long time, but I'm so glad I switched. So the other reason I like having a look at these screens throughout the day, if you're one that is trying to optimize your macronutrients, and the one color and macronutrient I'm always encouraging my clients, that's you, to watch out for, so is protein. And again, the color of protein is green in Cronometer. So I'm always toggling to see how I'm doing, how much green is showing on the circle graph, how much have I actually consumed quantity wise, how much volume of protein have I taken in. I can see that in the targets screen. So those first two screens are just like a wealth of information when it comes to macro tracking. One of the reasons that it's important to look at these is it can help you make food selections throughout the day and encourages you to grab maybe some more fruit if you're low in carbohydrate. I know I have I have a hard time meeting my carbohydrate goal. So I'm always like, oh shoot, I need to go, maybe get a slice of whole wheat bread and some peanut butter so I can get some carbohydrate, or, grab an orange, or, make sure I have some, maybe a serving of rice or pasta at dinner so I can make sure I'm hitting those carbohydrate goals, or whatever macronutrient you're really focusing on. This is going to help you see how you are for the day, and then it will help drive your food selection decisions throughout the day. So remember, macro tracking is not necessary for weight loss. It's just a helpful way to optimize. I'm going to keep saying that because typically this concept is overwhelming for people. But again, like I said in the very beginning, I didn't want to skip over it because you're going to hear about it. And essentially, tracking your calories is tracking your macronutrients. You're just not doing it at this depth, right? So think of macros like a dial you can adjust, not a light switch like you can turn off. So the equalizer, like on your car radio, you know how there's the balance, the fade, the bass, the treble. Well, you can adjust those dials just right for you, for where your ears are like, that's the perfect sound. That's the perfect audio. I love how this sounds right now. And you can adjust each one of those to get it just right for you. It's the same idea here with macronutrients. Okay, really quick before we get back to the episode, I want to share something I made just for you. One of the questions I get all the time is how to actually plan meals when you're trying to eat more protein. Not just randomly adding protein to things, but building meals that are balanced, filling, and easy to repeat during your week as a busy mom. So I created a free meal planning template. It walks you through my protein pillars framework, which is the method I use to build meals focused on protein first. And then you get to layer in the rest so your meals are tasty, actually keep you full, energized, and on track for weight loss. Inside the guide, you'll find a sample high protein, high fiber day of eating, 3 blank meal planning pages so you can map out your very own 3-day meal plan, a protein and fiber inspiration pick list when you need ideas for what to build your meals around, and a portion size starting guide for all food types. It's super simple, really practical, and something you can use over and over again when you're planning your week. Download it now. It's completely free. Just head down to the show notes and click the link for the free meal planning template. All right, now let's get back to the episode. Okay, let's shift to how you can start thinking about your own macronutrient balance and how to use it as another tool to support your weight loss. Tracking macros helps you structure your calories in a way that supports your body better while losing weight. So I've kind of tagged on this already, but what does that mean? It can mean several things. It can help you stay full longer, like we talked about in the last episode with protein and fiber, if that's where you're prioritizing your macros. It can help you maintain muscle mass. Again, protein, the queen macronutrient. It can stabilize your energy levels with fats and carbs, and it can make your nutrition feel more intentional rather than random. I love that. But again, I don't want you thinking that this has to be perfect. If you're going to dive into tracking your macros, it absolutely does not have to be perfect. It's just more of targets to work towards if this is something you're going to dive into. And I'm going to just share some of the concepts I'm going to talk about. Some of the stuff I'm going to talk about here in a minute is a bit repetitive from last episode, but it's going to be helpful for understanding how you can implement this concept into your weight loss journey if you choose to. So let's talk about protein again really quick. It is the queen bee in my mind of macronutrients. She wears the crown. It plays a very important role in the body, and those roles become even more important when we're on a weight loss journey. So, first, protein helps preserve lean muscle mass. So, when we're losing weight, your body doesn't just lose fat, it also can lose muscle. If you're not careful with your nutrition, and especially when you're strength training, your body can lose muscle mass, and muscle is incredibly valuable because it helps support metabolism, strength, and overall body composition. Not to mention a couple other fun or nerdy reasons I'm going to share with you. I love this, you guys. My favorite is when we have more lean muscle mass, we have more muscle mass, we burn more, we just in general, we burn more calories throughout the day. Hello, let's go. Okay, that's like I am definitely going to strength train if that's true. Okay. Like I'm going to work out and strength train. So I have more muscle mass. So I'm just automatically burning more calories throughout the day. And when we eat more protein, it takes a tad more calories for the body to process. And that's actually called the thermal effect of food. So we don't just burn calories when we're like working out or cleaning the house or going for a walk. We literally burn calories all day long. I'm burning calories as I sit here talking to you. But we also burn calories as the body digests food. That takes energy to digest food to get more energy, right? So protein takes more calories to process than the other macronutrients. So let's go. That always fires me up, you guys. So I geek out on this stuff. But I mean, those are top tier reasons why protein should be a priority. So protein provides not only all those incredible benefits, but it gives amino acids. So amino acids are the building blocks of protein. So that's for muscle repair, hair, teeth, skin, other tissues, immune system. It helps you stay full longer, which I'm sure you get by now. Protein digests more slowly, and that's why it can help you feel full longer. And when you're in a calorie deficit, feeling satisfied, you guys, is incredibly helpful, and it makes it easier for you to adhere to your calorie budget. Remember, from the previous episode, adherence is the number one driver for weight loss results. Also, protein supports essential body functions. So it builds the enzymes, hormones, immune cells, structural tissues throughout the body. And it's just, you guys, it's just the best. And it tastes good too. Most things that are high in protein are good, like meats and peanut butter and yogurt, all of it, cheese. I just love meat, salmon, steak, all that stuff is so tasty. That's why in the last episode, we talked about really building your meal plans using my protein pillar strategy. So when you start each meal, you select your primary protein source first. So you're just hitting it right out of the gate. It's very simple way to naturally support your macronutrient balance without overthinking it. You can download that meal plan right now for free. It's down in the show notes. So go ahead and grab it. Okay, guys, what about carbohydrates and fats? Let's talk about these two macros. So, unlike protein, which I consider to be the queen bee of macronutrients, carbohydrates and fats are a bit more controversial. They are, in my opinion, there are many opinions about what the ratio of macronutrient and carbohydrate, I'm sorry, there are many opinions about carbohydrate and fat ratios. So there are people who swear by extremely low carbohydrate nutrition, like in the keto diet, which is a goal of high fat intake, low carbohydrate. I don't teach keto for nutrition, for weight loss, but it can be useful if that's your preference. Um, it's a whole argument online about this, you guys. Low carb versus high carb, high fat versus low fat, keto versus a balanced macronutrient profile. Here's my stance though. Once your protein intake is solid, the exact balance between carbohydrates and fats becomes much more individualized. So, your personal preference. And I actually learned that from Lane Norton, Dr. Lane Norton. He's a PhD in nutrition. He's my go to podcast when I want to go deep dive into the studies, the science, what's really working, what's new, what they're learning. He has an incredible podcast if you're becoming more interested in the science of nutrition. It is very vocabulary heavy. It's a little dense with scientific data, but it's really interesting to learn and hear because it makes all this stuff that I'm sharing with you more solid and more qualified, and I really enjoy listening to him. So if you want to dive deep into some nerdy nutrition topics, go ahead and listen to Lane's podcast. But I was really happy that he shared that because it takes a lot of the stress out of figuring out, what should my protein be? What should my carb be? What should my fat be? And puts the focus on protein. So, hey, some people feel fantastic with more carbohydrate in their body. They have great energy, they recover well from exercise, and they feel satisfied. Like that's how they feel good. Other people prefer a little more fat in their meals because it makes them feel fuller a little bit longer and it gives them a little more flexibility in the flavor profiles of their food, right? So we can put some butters and some oils. Dressings are usually higher in fat. And as long as they're staying in their calorie budget, whatever that macronutrient ratio is that they really like, that's working for them, they're still losing weight, they're eating foods that are easily accessible for them, and they can maintain that, that's the perfect macronutrient ratio. So mine might not be perfect for you, but mine's perfect for me. So I want to stress that. So if we focus on the protein and then you're like, okay, carbs and fats, both very important, essential for life. You need them for a host of body functions and just general well-being. I don't like to say one is better than the other, even though I have said over and over again that protein is the queen bee, but we do need all three. And that's why I don't really like ketos because they really, excuse me, de-emphasizes carbohydrate, and carbohydrate is so important for a host of things. You need carbohydrate to literally to like be awake and have energy. I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time. What matters most is you're staying within your calorie budget. And if you're working with me, I would say, okay, make sure you're getting a hefty amount of protein that's right for you. And your meals are keeping you feeling full and you can sustain the meal plan that you created for yourself per your lifestyle. Remember, you're a busy mom, so you got to think about all the things that you're doing. A meal plan that's really strict and requires a lot of cooking and prepping, that might not be right for you. I work at home. I have a lot more time to be in my kitchen to do things like that. I'm still busy as heck, and sometimes I'm like, I don't want to do that. Or maybe you are a busy sports mom and you are on the go. You're at travel soccer, travel baseball, and you need to figure out how can you optimize your weight loss meal planning by eating out. When you're eating out, that might be something you focus on because you're eating out on the go a lot. This is unique to you, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit of my personal macronutrient balance just to share. It is not something you have to take on 100% as your own. Okay, so this is my personal macronutrient balance. This is what works for me, you guys. Remember what I've said over and over again. My focus is always protein first, very high protein. I eat about 50% protein. I try to each day, and then a 50-50 split between the fat and carbohydrates. So if you were to do a pie chart, it'd be 50% protein, 25% carbs, and 25% fats. So it's roughly what I work towards, you guys. It's what works for me, and I'm lifting a lot of heavy weights 5 to 6 days a week. So I really need to focus on getting enough protein. I'm trying to build more muscle than I already have. So there's reasons why I eat such a high protein. But it's a roughly 50-50 split between the carbs and the fats from there. So sometimes it leans a little bit more in one direction than the other, depending on the day, but that's the general balance that works really well for me. And notice I said roughly. I'm not sitting here stressing over if something is off by like 3%, 5%, or even 10%. That level of precision is not necessary for most people. It's not necessary for me. This is just a baseline for me to work towards. And when I have that baseline, I know like, hey, if I'm going to keep working towards that, I'm generally feeling pretty good, even if I'm not exact. Instead of just kind of pulling my hair out, you guys, and I just really focus on, ensuring I'm hitting my protein pillars when I'm building my meal plans. I focus on like what protein am I going to get with this meal, even at my snacks. And that really helps me hit that high protein intake for my macronutrient target. And then getting enough fiber through fruits and veggies, even whole grains, that takes care of carbs. And then the fun, delicious stuff, the fats, that comes later. So that's how I stay in my calorie budget. And that combination tends to take care of everything for me really nicely. But again, your ideal balance might look a little bit different than mine. So you might feel better maybe with a little bit more carbohydrate or a little bit more fat than I am having. So it's totally okay, whatever works for you. And what works for you is really based on just personal preference, one, but also your body size, your activity level, your muscle mass that you currently have, your schedule, food preferences, and even things like stress and sleep can influence what feels best for you, even on a single given day. Even if you're like, I'm a 50% protein, 25% carb, 25% fat gal. Okay, but one day you eat that and you're like, wow, that I didn't sleep good, or I went on a long run or something. I need a lot more carbohydrate or whatever. You guys, remember, it's like those dials on the equalizer in your car. And it is so unique to you that I don't like saying this is what the ratio should be for every single client I have. I do need to get to know you pretty well to be able to dial this in. The baseline thing I tell everyone to do is just eat high protein. So, what does that mean? I would say at least 100 grams of protein a day if you can manage it. And that takes practice. And one way to do that is to build your meals with protein pillars first. You will easily get there. If you're listening to this thinking, okay, I heard yours, I kind of feel like I understand what you're doing, but what is actually something I can use if I'm not sure if yours, Amanda, if yours is right for me? What can I actually use to build my macronutrient ratios? A good place to start is with the federal dietary guidelines from the USDA and the FDA. So these are the recommendations that are designed for general health across many populations. So they suggest that your protein should be about 10 to 35% of your total calories. That's a wide range. Carbohydrates, about 45 to 65% of your total calories per day. And then fat, the recommendation is 20 to 35% of your total calories for the day. A bit different than when I've been explaining that I recommend, right? This has more of an emphasis on carbohydrates and fats, which is interesting. But when it comes to weight loss, especially if you're lifting weights, you're going to start lifting weights soon, you guys. Get ready. That's our next episode's coming up. I'm so excited. We're going to be trying to not only lose weight, but maintain and build muscle. Many nutrition researchers are going to recommend pushing that protein towards the higher end of the range and sometimes even slightly above it. Um, so, a practical starting point for many people on a weight loss journey and people that are lifting is something more like protein at 30 to 40%, kind of like where I'm at. Carbohydrates 30, 40%, fat 20 to 30%. Remember, it has to add up to 100%. So, whatever ratios get you to that 100% in the pie chart, that's what you're working for. But listen, this is not a rigid rule. The USDA recommendations are not a rigid rule. My preferences and recommendations are not a rigid rule. This is unique to you. And I do have a disclaimer at the end of every single episode that said, look, this is not your prescription pad. This is information for you to consider to make decisions for yourself. And so if there's other things that you need to consider, like medications you're taking, other medical conditions that I might not be aware of, you need to always speak to your physicians, your healthcare providers about making changes to your nutrition. For example, some people really can't eat high protein because they have certain medical conditions. Or if you have diabetes, you really need to cut back on your carbohydrate, right? And focus on carbohydrate intake at a certain level. Like what I have might be way too much for someone that has diabetes. So, really nuanced, you guys. Again, another argument that this is unique to you. Please always check in with your healthcare provider before making these decisions. If you need help in figuring out what to ask them or where to start, you can ask me. But if I'm going to ask you some really specific questions about your current health so I can steer you towards having a conversation with your healthcare provider if needed. So, this is you doing this at your own risk and figuring out what works best for you. So, it's just a simple starting framework for you to consider. And from there, you can observe, how is your body responding? Do you feel full with the ratios that you prepared for yourself and that you're eating? Do you have good energy? Are you able to stay within your calorie budget? That's huge. If you answered yes, you're doing great. Gold stars all the way across. If something feels off or you're kind of struggling, it's okay to adjust it. There's no problem in adjusting it. This is where those weekly check-ins are going to really be helpful, because if you and I were working together, I would dig into this concept with you deeply so we could really optimize your nutrition so you're feeling good, strong, energetic, and confident. Go back and listen to those each week if it's helpful for you. It's episode number 32, How to Lose Weight Weekly Progress Assessment. And it guides you through how to, ask yourself, how can I change this? Where was I really doing great? What was hard? What was easy? It gives you a picture of where you need to focus, because when we're having to focus on all of it, even the stuff we're doing really good, it's too much. It's helpful to see where one or two things can be adjusted so you can make those tiny tweaks for the next week, and you just keep dialing it in from there as you go. Those weekly assessments are critical. So make sure you're doing those, and also including in those assessments an evaluation when you're doing those questions and asking yourself to evaluate in specific areas that you're also thinking about your nutrition too. Okay, I want to finish this section by emphasizing something that will save you a lot of stress on your weight loss journey. You probably heard me say this before. Macros are a tool. They are not a magic formula. They are not something that need to be perfect every day. They are simply another way to fine tune your nutrition once the fundamentals are in place, and those fundamentals are always the same. You guys ready to hear them again? Stay within your calorie budget. That is number one. Number one, stay within your calorie budget. From there, you're working with me. We're prioritizing protein. We're eating plenty of fiber-rich foods, and you're choosing meals you can actually stick with consistently that allow you to stay within that energy target, which is your calorie budget. If you do those things, you're 90% there. You're already solid. Macros just help you polish the extra 10%. Okay, ladies, you are multiple weeks into the series, 7 weeks if you've been following, at least more than that if you've been following along in real time. So at this point, you should be losing weight. You should be losing weight. Yes, girl, I am throwing confetti in the air like, whoa, all over you, celebrating all your participation in your health and weight loss to date, and I will continue to celebrate you. Up next, you guys, you better get ready. I'm so excited. We're going to start talking about strength training. Yay! I love working out. I love it so much. I love lifting weights, and you are going to love lifting weights too, because you're going to start looking a lot different in those clothes, feeling different. You're going to have so much energy. You're going to feel strong and confident. You're going to be excited about this process. Look, if you're not ready to strength train yet, though, again, just kind of like if you're not ready to use the macronutrient optimizer concept here, I want you to keep polishing your nutrition skills and walking every day. Polishing up your nutrition skills by just working to maintain that calorie budget and walking. Keep it up. Just keep moving. Keep working on dialing in your calorie budget and getting consistent and adhering to that plan. But be sure to come back because it is time to get strong and fit and toned like you've always dreamed of, you guys. Right now, at the time of recording this, it's early April. The sun is starting to shine. I'm like, I got to make sure I have those strong tank top arms. I want to feel confident and good in my dresses and in my shorts. It's not even about looking good, you guys. It's about feeling good. And getting strong and fit with strength training has so many health benefits. Not only will it give you a little cherry on top with calorie burn for weight loss, but we're talking about hormone balance. We're talking about immune boosting, better sleep. We're going to get into it. It's not always about weight loss, and it's fun. And I'm going to give you workouts, you guys. You're going to be completely set for the most epic weight loss of your life. So buckle up, Buttercup. Catch you on the next episode. Okay, really quick before we get back to the episode, I want to share something I made just for you. One of the questions I get all the time is how to actually plan meals when you're trying to eat more protein. Not just randomly adding protein to things, but building meals that are balanced, filling, and easy to repeat during your week as a busy mom. So I created a free meal planning template. It walks you through my protein pillars framework, which is the method I use to build meals focused on protein first. And then you get to layer in the rest so your meals are tasty, actually keep you full, energized, and on track for weight loss. Inside the guide, you'll find a sample high protein, high fiber day of eating, 3 blank meal planning pages so you can map out your very own 3-day meal plan, a protein and fiber inspiration pick list when you need ideas for what to build your meals around, and a portion size starting guide for all food types. It's super simple, really practical, and something you can use over and over again when you're planning your week. Download it now. It's completely free. Just head down to the show notes and click the link for the free meal planning template.
Hey there, me again. Quick disclaimer, I share tips, insights, and ideas to help you on your weight loss and fitness journey, but I'm not your doctor or your personal health guru. Before diving into any nutrition or fitness plans I talk about, make sure to check in with your healthcare provider. They know your body best. Think of this podcast as your cheerleader and a place for healthy living idea inspiration, not your prescription pad. Stay safe, stay smart, and let's crush those goals together. Until next time.